Well, Satya, I think protests.
It's
seems
protests
to be
all around.
what the morning is all about. We just had some breaking news coming in from Tamil Nadu.
That's right.
There's a huge protest against Jallikattu at the Marina Beach. And it's threatening to get pretty bad out there.
It's
massive
yeah,
crowds,
it seems to
tensions
be
are high, emotions
deteriorating.
are running high. It's looking
well, the good
quite
news
bad.
is that situation is under control. The police have kind of cracked down on the protesters and kind of hope to get the situation under control.
Well,
it's protests all the time. What to say?
Well, there is also a massive protest happening around the world. Now, I'm looking at the DNA. This is the DNA, and it says, what drove women to join marches around the world? US President Trump's repeated sexist comments push women to protest across the world. Now, I mean, just look at this image.
Come on.
Look at the number of people in this march. Now, and look at some of the signs that they have there. My body, not yours. Now, the US President, Donald Trump, has over the years sort of made some terrible, outrageous sexist comments about women, including some sort of I don't know, he was raving about how he likes to grab women by their genitalia.
Is this the president of
bizarre.
a country? I mean, is this the linguistics which we associate with the president of the country? Now, look at these are visuals from Germany. I mean, there are protests all around
the world today.
Yeah,
that's
our
right.
rights.
Now there are protests that are happening in London as well, and this is of course Berlin. And all across America, in Washington especially. Now, hundreds and thousands of women took to the streets in cities around the world on Saturday in opposition to US President Donald Trump, a day after his inauguration. Sister March sponsors boasted some 670 gatherings around the world in solidarity with the Washington event, estimating a global turnout of more than 4.6 million participants. Now, 4.6 million is quite a large number, and of course there are, you know, people have come out. They're not just marching, but there are talks. You know, Madonna has spoken, and quite a few other celebrities are coming out and speaking. We have visuals here.
We are talking about a massive protest movement over here. I mean, look at that women's march from Frankfurt. It's a massive protest.
What have you done, America?
What have you done? Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Well, now, what does Donald Trump have to say about this? Well, there's another report here in the DNA. It says, President Trump mocks women protesters. The US president undermines protests, but within 90 minutes, he defends the demonstrators' right. So Donald Trump, of course, came at the first tweet that we had from his handle, said, watched protest yesterday, but was under the impression that we just had an election, ! Why didn't these people vote? Celebs hurt cause badly. This is what he said early Sunday morning in a Twitter post. And this was his administration's first post about the Women's March. And this came from his Twitter handle,
quite telling.
Real Donald Trump, not the Twitter handle of the President of the United States. So this was his own personal statement. But less than 2 hours later, Trump tweeted again, and he said, peaceful protests are a hallmark of our democracy. Even if I don't always agree, I recognize the rights of people to express their views.
This is a complete turnaround. After having assumed that the people out on the streets who are protesting have actually not gone and voted.
Yeah.
Come on, this is national television. I mean, this is international television here.
Yes.
I do want to, maybe I should just write a letter to Donald Trump. You know, we're going back to our letter writing skills. I think I'm going to practice. I am going to go back to the good old art of letter writing and write a long
Donald Trump, you're getting a letter from Satyashree Gandharv.
That's right.
All right. Well, looks like these protests are, of course, going to continue. I for one, don't think we've seen the last of these protests. I don't think any of these protests are going down anytime soon.
You know, what's there to say? I mean, this is not even a conversation. This is not even a subject we should be talking about at a time like this. We've just been through the elections.
Yes.
Anyway, it's really not the most popular or the most anticipated outcome. But, well, you know what? It's democracy.
Yeah, I know. I know you were saying that. You were saying that today. But I mean, obviously, the people are speaking still. If 4.6 million people are out there expressing their views on something, then that too is a democratic expression, which is, of course, what Donald Trump, you know, retweeted again. But I do understand your point. I mean, democracy is democracy, and one of the biggest sort of stalwarts of democracy in our century is is the election.
That's right.
And he won fair and square.
Really. I know. I mean, for better or for worse, for good or for bad, he's here.
He's here. He's here. Well,
there you go.
Nothing more to say after that.
Nothing more to say after that.
All right, well, I have another article here. Now, of course, we know that the JLF is happening in India, and it's quite the buzz.
Yes.
JLF is, of course, the Jaipur Literary Festival. It's in its 10th edition.
That's a Z Jaipur Literary Festival.
Jaipur Literary Festival, and it is huge this year. And so they had many things happening at Digi Palace. We've had wonderful musical events, wonderful talks. But here's something that really caught my interest. Zuni Chopra and Anusha Subramaniam get conversational at the Jaipur Literary Festival, talking about books, boys and studies. And these are two teenagers who are telling tales at the JLF. They're both teenagers and published authors.
Oh, wonderful.
Zuni is 15. She has 3 books to her name. And Anusha has 2 novels. The last one, Never Gone, was out in November last year. And yeah, they have famous parents. You know, Anusha's father is the famous writer Ravi Subramaniam, and Zuni's father is the film producer Vidhu Vinod Chopra. And yeah, they're talking about,
you know, it's always really interesting to understand what teens are thinking. You know, somehow as adults, there's only so much you can understand about what's going on in a teenager's mind, or what his or her interests are. But for a teenager to actually come out into the open and write about what affects her understanding, what she understands or he understands from the world around. Is the world making any sense to the teenagers?
Absolutely.
I think it's really, really important. I'm glad that we have these 2 teenagers in a literary festival, and it's really an international literary festival of people from all over the world come in, and the teenagers have a place out there.
Yeah, I'm glad you've said that, because actually those teenage years are your most formative years, and that's the time when there are so many different emotions, you know, playing absolute tumultuous chaos happening inside your heart and your soul. You know, you're torn. You feel everything with so much intensity. You feel love with so much intensity. You feel hatred with so much. Everything is like magnified.
It's like living on the edge sometimes.
It's living on the edge completely. And you know, so for teenagers to actually be able to like discipline themselves and put down all their feelings onto paper into a really interesting format, such as a novel.
That's right.
I mean, you know, that requires tremendous discipline, and
having it published, another achievement.
Absolutely.
Big congratulations.
Absolutely.
I mean, just to see it out there is a huge achievement.
Well, Jaipur Literary Festival really has been fantastic this year, as it has been every year. But seeing it in its 10th year, seeing it literally grow year to year has been such a pleasure.
Absolutely,
so really
totally
big congratulations to everybody who put it together. So what do you have for us, Satya?
Oh, well, I have some good news coming out of India. Coming soon. I'm looking at the Indian Express front page article. Coming soon, first of its kind Indian Sign Language Dictionary.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely.
Indian Sign Language.
Indian Sign Language Dictionary. Now, there have been sign language dictionaries of in other countries. Look at that. Look at that. Members of the team working on the dictionary.
So how is this different from you know, a regular sign language dictionary?
Well, you know, I'll just get to that. It's actually addressed in this article. 6,000 words have been compiled in languages specific to Indian context. Now, there are lots of cultural issues, like a lot of cultural context, a lot of regional context, which are very different from the world over. So, the term hearing and speech impaired is a pejorative for Sachin Singh. Now, 2 case studies have been taken up. I'm deaf and I have my own language. From where I stand, those who cannot understand my language suffer an impairment.
I like that.
I like that.
I like
very,
that.
very true. Now, look at that. I mean, these are the sign languages, and these are pretty much the universal signs that we see whenever we were talking in the sign language. Now,
but I'm glad that they are, going to be sort of making the modifications to this, because actually regional languages and specifically Indian languages can be quite complicated in terms of meaning, in terms of just the sheer number and volume of words.
Absolutely.
You're
right.
It's definitely quite a complicated system of communication.
You're right. Now, here is one small little example they give. Efforts are still on to come up with signs for abstract words as researchers ponder over how to depict the befuddling trigonometry. Trigonometry, I mean, there's this mathematics, there's trigonometry. Now, again, like I said, part of it is universal. It is still international. Everyone can follow those signs, but when it comes to really specific regional context, that's when this Indian Sign Language Dictionary comes to most help. Now, for most of the researchers, now here is something which totally touches my heart. For most of the researchers, many of whom are either deaf themselves or are siblings or children of deaf persons, the final product would be more than just a dictionary. Now, Sachin, the case study we were talking about earlier, as he puts it, through gestures, and as Sachin puts it, through gestures, people could interpret it would be an acknowledgement of their linguistic identity.
Wow, wow. I really like that. I think definitely linguistics is an identity in itself. But unfortunately, that's all we have time for right now. We can, of course, go on and on. There's such interesting articles. Just this language article, raises so many questions.
That's right.
But it's time for us to move on with the show. We have to slip into a quick break, but stay with us, because on WION Breakfast, we're coming back with fitness, we're coming back with food, and some very interesting news from the social media, so stay tuned.